Hi, my name is Julie, and I like to discuss what it's like when you lose all your stuff. Now, I started off my videos, and I get very overexcited, so don't get me wrong, I kind of get sidetracked. But this basically is a true story of how I lost everything I own. Literally over 40 years worth of stuff. I'm not bragging, but put the story right out there. I had some really awesome collections of stuff. I really was quite proud of everything I had. I kept it good, even on the days when I was younger and didn't keep things good, but I always would have a good collection of stuff. I was the one that kids would come over to my house to play with their toys, because God forbid if you ever should go over their house. Their parents never would allow you over there. You would think I had lice coming out of my hair and boogers coming out of my nose. Just some parents are really snotty, and even though they act like they liked you, they didn't want you out into their homes for whatever reason, because their homes actually sometimes were nicer when it came to more cleaner. I'm not saying I grew up as a orphan, like my house was messy, but I had quite a few siblings, so our house did have some means of being a little disorganized, but it was never filthy. It just never was at its best. And we had days when it was, and it was like, oh my God, my mother wished she could keep it like that forever, but lo and behold, with 5 kids, boom, it'd be all in shambles again. Kind of that stereotype played in. Well, anyways, I had only so much room too, but I still had quite a few good collectibles, especially in the 60s and 70s, when to me some of the toys were pretty awesome. Some of the stuff that everybody wants now is collectibles now. The toys that I had, and I had all the stuff, the matchboxes, I had costume jewelry, I had games, I had old games, just a lot of stuff, even stuff I didn't play with, even stuff I wasn't interested. I had a coin collection, I had a rock collection, I had a gem collection. I mean, it was just really neat stuff. Fast forward 40 plus years later, I got myself into a very bad tailspin of having to become homeless because I got sick and got behind bills. And like anyone, this is most everybody's worst nightmare come true. And I could no longer afford to keep the payments up. So this place that you guys should be aware of, by just mentioning the word you guys, when you think you're doing all the work, make sure you realize these people that have a storage unit that starts maybe with a certain letter, I would be very careful of what you represent as a customer, because I have come to understand now people are eyeballing your stuff and almost kind of scooping out what you have worth, hopefully losing if you do not pay your bill. Well, lo and behold, that was one of me. I got behind on my bills. I started having to let some things go, and I didn't want to, because I was not the best one with money, but wasn't the worst. And when it came to this happening to me, I was like, oh my God, this is really crazy. So this is what it feels like to lose everything you own. So 40 years of my stuff, I just lost it all. I literally lost all my collectibles. And of course, you get the ones that say, oh, it was only stuff. Don't say that to me. Yes, it was only stuff, but it's the dedication, the time, the places I went to get that stuff, the memories behind it. The memories sometimes, unless you have the item there, I'm not going to lie, sometimes you forget sometimes the trouble you went through, or the story no longer has an attachment because you don't have the item to attach the story to. So it'll kind of have a meaningless theme to it, such as the times that I had someone trust and sent this expensive doll to me, and I hadn't even paid her yet, but she wanted me to have it before Christmas, and she sent it to me. I no longer have that doll, and the doll was worth $500, and like I said, those are the things I went through. The time that I was so obsessed about a certain type of matchbox, I ordered like 10 of them because I had to have this green Volkswagen matchbox that was just this crazy thing, and went everywhere to get this matchbox. And at a time when Hallmark, like 30 years ago, was selling separate crayons, and they would sell them separate, so that way I could collect all the blues and greens I want, because everybody knows green always goes fast in the box. It's always, you know, nothing's left. It's a stubble by the time it's your turn to use it. So that being as it is, I bought like, I don't know, they were like 5 cents or whatever. I bought like 50 of them. I swear to God I did. And I still had that collection of green crayons, even though some of them were getting smashed and ruined from just wears of being in a box and kind of getting smushed around. It didn't matter to me. It was the fact that they still looked halfway decent, and I kept them. Or when I went to an old lady's house that was selling some jewelry at a yard sale, and I really wanted this piece, and she's like, my dear, I gotta get at least $5, and $5 40 years ago was unheard of for a little girl. So I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, Christmas Day, I go to open up a package, and there's a pen that this lady had obviously given to me, well, to my mother to give to me. Those are those beautiful stories. You don't have the thing now to represent those stories, so they seem to take a side note and no longer seem to matter to anybody really. And now, you know, the ones that matter to me to tell them, it's kind of like having, you know, making up a batch of cookies, but you're missing the chocolate chips. That's basically what these stories now will mean to me, because I don't have the full, complete version of everything. I only have what I can remember in my head. And when I lost the stuff, of course I had a wicked, volatile way of talking to the guy, because he was such a jerk at the you-know-what place, because he was being a you-know-what on the phone, because of course he wanted my stuff. He knew it was at value. He knew it was stuff that you would definitely see at a flea market, and definitely the stuff people would grab and gravitate towards. So he knew what the stuff was. And even if he didn't know exactly the true price and the worth of it, it was the fact he was such a jerk. And when he told me to pick up pictures of my family, come to be it happened to be a girl who just happened to be in the hotel room, hotel floor, a couple of rooms down from me, which I thought was ironic, because I never met this girl in my life. I just happened to recognize her because of the pictures. So I never even got my family pictures back. So by the way, if anyone out there sees anything with Lee Anderson or Julie Anderson and wants to spread the rumor around that I've lost my pictures, I would love to have them back. They probably have since been thrown out, because some people are heartless and would do that in a New York minute. But that being said, to lose stuff, I could go on crying and be in tears. And not only did I finally start building up stuff by the last of 14, 15, all I had was a black shirt and black pants. That's all I had to wear. So all of a sudden, this is why you see me dressed up a little bit more, because I found that if I'm going to finally own some stuff, I'm finally going to wear it. And, sorry, this just slipped down. So this is why I decided that this was going to be my new theme of things, that I was no longer just going to buy this shit. I was actually going to now wear it, since I know now what it feels like to lose it, literally and mentally, because nothing's worse than, you gotta excuse me just as I hit this right, nothing's worse than finally collecting all this stuff, and once again you lose it again. Now, I thought it was bad enough when I lost my guy's fishing stuff. I thought that was terrible. He had a bunch of fishing stuff and a bike and all kinds of cool stuff. He really did too, himself. And then, lo and behold, less than a year later, I was the next victim to lose stuff, and I had 3 storage of stuff, plus another storage off to the side. I remember seeing a few of my things that floated out after they must have had the sale, because I remember picking up some old Barbie shoes and stuff. Like, they just didn't give a shit about my stuff. They just probably threw it out, like in one of these, you know, buckets, like this, and just literally just threw it out there like garbage, not knowing all the time and dedication I took to always make sure it was always picked up and cleaned. And so, yeah, when you lose stuff, It really sucks, and it sucks big, excuse me, but when I see something shiny, I can't help but wonder what sometimes it is. And lo and behold, I would never recommend losing stuff, and if you do lose stuff, I would do my best to work with a person who might be on the other end of the, because I didn't tell the person my situation. I figured they probably heard it enough, so they weren't going to care. But, you know, if I had told them, I'm sure he still probably wouldn't care. Because, like I said, it was just going through some hard times, and really, really hard times. And I'm sure he wouldn't either believe me or heard it so much that he just would say that he couldn't take everybody's stories personally, otherwise he would never have a business. I can almost relate to that, but it was such that he was such an asshole when I said, when he was like, I'm going to get rid of your stuff. It was just the ignorance that he had. It was like, man, you don't even know what I'm going through, and why are you being so mean to me when I wasn't even being volatile to you at first? I mean, I was like, man, can you at least say a few things up to the side? Things that won't have no meaning to other people? Like, who the fuck wants someone else's picture? Unless you really got a whack job, which I'm sure they do. So then I thought, God, that creeps me out, because I have some personal letters. Thank God they're not porno letters, but nevertheless, it's kind of scary to know some of your business is out there, and some of my slips, and now knowing how badly doctors can write things about you in your medical records. And I had some medical records, and I didn't realize how bad sometimes doctors can get you wrong. They get you mixed up with another patient, such as in a situation that I have been in. So that gets scary, because then you don't know, like, obviously that person's going to think that's you, and it's just like, oh God. But then you can't worry about that, because you know the truth. Sadly, though, the person that has your shit ain't going to know the truth. All they're going to know is what they see in front of them, and chances are they're going to obviously take that more in consideration, because you're not around to explain it. And just knowing the fact that people have your stuff and they're thumbing through it. And I have to admit, there is some personal content in there. Some of my letters from when I was growing up, and poems and that sort of deal. Just think of what you have in your private stuff, and think what would happen if someone got a hold of it. How would you feel? Are you totally embarrassed by it? I have to admit, I'm not embarrassed that I try to express myself in those letters, but my God, knowing how I know people like to joke, I know this would be a big comedy hour for somebody, so that kind of hurts at the same time. If it was me looking at somebody's stuff like that, I'm not going to lie, I'm the type that would want to find its owner, because even though I might like some of the stuff that I say, if I knew they had a lot of pictures, and they have pictures of their family, and I could see it expressed, and I could see it all scrapbook out, maybe if it wasn't all intact in the most gorgeous way, but you could see the effort was there, I don't know about you, but you definitely can write me underneath this. Would you return some pictures back, or would you try your damnedest to try to find the rightful owner of things, even if you like this stuff? Now that you heard from the side of the owner who's lost their stuff, would you want to return it back to the rightful owner, especially if you knew they had a hard time and they just couldn't cover all their tracks trying to get their life sorted out, and something slid by, such as their property, and even though it means a lot to them, you wouldn't think it did, because they figured, oh, if they cared about it, they would have grabbed a hold of it. Well, when you have your life versus property, your life comes first. The property is meaningless when you can't carry it, because you got yourself to carry on the street, along with maybe a child or another sick person. You find, again, you love your stuff, but again, your stuff's going to take a back seat. That's why a lot of people leave stuff behind when they move. You begin to realize what really matters and what really doesn't. And never did this stuff lose any meaning to it. It just didn't become what I obviously knew was my first priority, which is to take care of myself and the loved ones around me that need me, and to take care of the things that are, you know, needed to make myself keep pressing on in life. And sadly, the stuff that I have, as much as it's worth money, it was neat, it was collectible, it was cool, it was awesome stuff. I think about it, it's like looking at a Sears wish book back in the 70s. It just has such a neat way of looking at it. I'm sorry I don't have big fancy words to explain it right now. I did, I wrote it down, but then I went out of the hell with it. I'll just throw this out there. But if you do come across something that you know could go back to its rightful owner, and you want a good feeling, and you want to see that person have a back start of their life, I can tell you, if I was on the receiving end of that, or giving end, I definitely could appreciate seeing some of my stuff back. If anything, I think the photo albums, regardless of how you can even feel about some of the family members, I would like those back. So if anything I miss the most would be, number one, the photo albums, regardless how I lost them in a fire or being stolen or a combination of the two. I know those would have still survived that, and I was told they did, and yet I never got them back. So any suggestions on any recommendations of how you would try to get something back that 4 years ago got taken by a famous storage place? And if you have any ideas about how people get things back, or any stories yourself you would like to share about how maybe you lost something and years later you got to find it again, or somebody gave it to you again by a fluke, or any type of story that would be of interest, that would have some, you know, craziness to it, mystery to it, and be worth telling, I certainly would like to hear it. And comment below if you would, please, because I could tell you, this girl here went from having one shirt, one pair of pants, one sock, and 2 pairs of underwear to back to having a little collage of stuff again. Do I have all the collectibles that I once had? I don't even have an ounce of that stuff, because right now it doesn't interest me. All I want right now is a peace of mind, and maybe my photo albums would be the biggest thing to me. But is it heartbreaking and all the other stuff? Again, I could have sat for the last 20 minutes on this video and cried. I'm just showing you some of the heartlessness of the storage people. It is like Storage World Wars. They're just greedy. They care what's in there. They're really hoping they're going to make it big, and someone's going to make it off of big because you had a bad time in your life. So somebody basically, and this is where I get that, other people's misery is other people's profit. You go down in life, somebody's going to take what you went down and grab it, and sadly those are the people that do exist, continue to exist, and those are the ones that you have to keep sharp eyes on, and the reason why you got to keep a sharpness in yourself, because you're not always going to get people that are going to care about your treasures in your heart. They're just going to care about their own personal pocket and their so-called heart. I guess you would want to call it that. But if I had other people's pictures, I think I would want to give them back, knowing the fact that it's kind of creepy having somebody else's pictures in your closet, knowing that they're not your family, and nobody, you know really, and knowing the fact that it could be somebody out there, such as myself, that would love to have them back. So that being said, let's hope that I can someday get my family albums back. There's at least 20 of them out there in the world, so either they're in the trash or in somebody's basement, which is kind of scary enough. But if you have my pictures, we'd love to have them back. And if you lost stuff, please share with me what you have lost. Again, I was really hoping I could try to find a way to get people to write to me, to give me any suggestions of where people go if they lost stuff. I think it might just be a fluke. If anything, if I ever come across my pictures, I think, I don't know how that would be. I just hope somebody has them and taking care of them, and I eventually get them back. Thank you.